It was Christmas Eve in Concord, New Hampshire. The kind of night where the snow blanketed everything in a deceptive hush, like the world was holding its breath. I remember standing there in my parents' cozy living room, the air thick with the scent of pine from the tree and cinnamon from Mom's famous apple pie cooling on the counter. My heart was pounding, not from nerves, but from this foolish spark of hope. I'd scraped together every last dime from my shifts at the upscale Italian bistro downtown, where I hustled as the head waitress, dodging entitled patrons and finicky chefs for tips that barely covered my rent. $2,000. Gone in a flash for a deposit on a weekend getaway at a ritzy lodge in the White Mountains. My big surprise, a family retreat to mend the frayed edges we'd all ignored for too long. I cleared my throat, raised my glass of cheap sparkling wine, and announced it with a smile that felt too wide, too desperate. I've booked us all a spot at the Mount Washington Resort next month. My treat. Time to reconnect. Right? The words hung there, expectant. Then my brother leaned back in his chair, his smirk slicing through the warmth like a winter gust. Nah, sis. That's for real family only. Laughter exploded, Mom covering her mouth with a napkin, Dad guffawing so hard his chair creaked, even my uncle chuckling awkwardly into his plate. It wasn't a joke. It was a gut punch, delivered with the casual cruelty only blood can muster. I stood frozen, the glass trembling in my hand, as the room spun. All those years of pouring myself out for them. And this was the echo, mockery. I set the glass down, grabbed my coat, and walked out into the biting cold without a word. The door clicked shut behind me, sealing in their amusement. And something inside me snapped, not loudly, but with the quiet finality of a lock turning. That night, alone in my cramped apartment above a noisy bar, I stared at the ceiling, the betrayal festering like an untreated wound. They didn't chase me. No calls, no texts, just silence, the kind that screams louder than words. And in that void, I made my choice. The one that would unravel their carefully woven net of dependence. But revenge? It wasn't about fire and fury. It was about the slow, deliberate reclaiming of what they'd stolen, not just money, but pieces of my soul. For as long as I could remember, I'd been the family's invisible pillar, the one who held up the roof while everyone else danced under it. I'm Elena Rossi, 32 now. But back then, I was just Lena, the reliable one, the fixer, working double shifts at Bella Vita, that charming little Italian spot in downtown Concord, where the aroma of garlic and fresh basil masked the exhaustion of juggling trays, placating high-maintenance diners, and scraping by on wages that left me choosing between groceries and gas. I'd funneled over $25,000 into their pockets over the past 4 years through a shared savings account I'd stupidly set up to make things easier. It started innocently enough, covering Dad's $5,000 hospital bill after a slip on black ice fractured his hip. Then Mom needed $4,000 for unexpected home repairs that turned out to be a fancy new kitchen backsplash. My brother, Vince, hit me up for $6,000 to save his failing graphic design gig, which really meant funding his latest gadget obsession. The rest vanished into a black hole of emergencies, car tires, utility shutoffs, whatever sob story they spun. I told myself it was what you did for family. That blood meant sacrifice, even if it meant eating ramen for weeks or skipping that much-needed dentist visit. Mom would call late at night, her voice all honeyed concern. Lena, sweetie, we're in a bind again. Dad grumbled about tough breaks, his expectations heavy as lead. Vince texted like it was pocket change. Sis, spot me this month. And I always said yes, because saying no felt like betrayal. Like abandoning the people who'd raised me in that drafty old house on Elm Street. But the toll mounted. At the restaurant, I'd zone out during the dinner rush, my mind replaying their pleas while I burned a customer's risotto. My coworker and closest confidant, Sofia Ramirez, a fiery 34-year-old bartender with a no-nonsense edge, would catch me staring into space. "Lena, you're not their ATM," she'd say over post-shift coffees, her eyes sharp as she wiped down the bar. I brushed it off at first. Family sticks together. Soft. That's how it is. But deep down, the resentment simmered. A low boil I ignored until it scalded me. The cracks started showing in subtle ways, the kind that whisper before they roar. Mom showed up at my apartment one afternoon with a gleaming new necklace, probably $400 worth of silver and stones, far beyond her struggling budget. Dad bragged about his upgraded fishing gear during a rare family lunch. Items that screamed excess. Vince's social media was a highlight reel of craft beer tastings and weekend getaways to Boston, all while he claimed poverty. I'd been the one footing their bills since I was 18. Stepping in when Mom forgot the mortgage, bailing Dad out of gambling slips he called investments, and covering Vince's temporary unemployment stretches. For years ago, that joint account seemed like a lifeline, streamlining help without the awkward handovers. Instead, it became their endless tap, siphoning my security while they lived high on my hustle. Sofia saw it clear as day. "They're playing you, Lena," she'd insist, her voice cutting through my denial. "Set some damn boundaries before they suck you dry." Her words gnawed at me, especially after a brutal shift where a table stiffed me on a $200 bill, leaving me short for rent. I'd watch my account dwindle with each transfer, my anxiety spiking like a bad espresso shot. Last fall, my uncle let slip about Mom and Dad's new hobbies, wine clubs, and day trips to the coast. I nearly dropped my phone. My money wasn't survival, it was splurge. Vince's posts of designer sneakers and bar tabs? Straight from my paychecks. The anger built slowly. A pressure cooker without a valve. I felt like a chump, slinging pasta while they sipped Merlot. Sofia's advice turned from suggestion to ultimatum. "You deserve better than this emotional blackmail." And she was right, they didn't see me as kin, they saw me as cash flow. Every plea chipped away at my self-worth, leaving me hollow, questioning if love always came with a price tag. That Christmas walkout wasn't the end, it was the ignition. The snow crunched under my boots as I trudged to my beat-up sedan, the laughter still ringing in my ears like a bad echo. By the time I keyed into my apartment, the hurt had curdled into resolve. They thought I was a joke? Fine. I'd rewrite the punchline. The next morning, with the holiday hangover pounding in my temples, I marched into the bank branch on Main Street. The joint account, still primarily in my name, a relic of my naive trust, held the remnants of my sacrifices. I sat across from the banker, a middle-aged guy with a sympathetic nod, and laid it out. "I need to freeze this. No access without my explicit approval." He tapped away, adding layers of security, dual signatures, alerts on every move. It was simple, almost anticlimactic, but it felt like slamming a door on years of exploitation. In the parking lot, I fired off a group text to Mom, Dad, and Vince. "Accounts secured. New rules. Reach out if you want to discuss." My phone erupted like fireworks. Mom's confused. "What do you mean?" "Lena." Dad's furious. "This is bullshit." Vince's barrage of emojis and accusations. Calls flooded in, voicemails piling up with guilt trips and demands. I let them ring, silencing the device and shoving it in my glove box. Driving home, a strange calm settled over me. This wasn't petty, it was protection. They'd mocked my attempt at unity, dismissed my generosity as entitlement. Now, the silence was mine to wield. I thought of Nonna Rosa, my grandmother, who I'd always called Rosie, absent from that dinner, but ever present in my mind. She'd whispered wisdom over Sunday suppers. Family builds you up, Kara. Or it's not family at all. Her words fueled me now. Vince's smug, real family dig replayed, fueling the fire. I'd proven my worth 1,000 times. For what? To be their fallback. This lockout was the first cut in a deeper severance. They'd come crawling. I knew it. But I was done bending. The cost? My peace. Maybe. But it was a price I was finally willing to pay. 2 days post-Christmas. The fallout hit like a nor'easter. My phone was a war zone, Mom's voicemails dripping with faux sweetness. Lena. Baby. Let's sort this. We need you. Dad's bellowing rants. After all we've sacrificed. You pull this crap. Vince's texts. Venomous and rapid. Selfish much. Sis? You're killing us here. Their desperation clawed at me. But something felt off, too frantic. Too raw. Paranoia or instinct? I logged into my credit monitoring app. Fingers icy on the screen. There it was, a credit line opened in my name 6 months back. $2,500 racked up on luxury spa treatments and boutique shopping sprees. All traced to Mom's address. She'd forged my details. Signed off without a whisper. The betrayal hit like whiplash, deeper than the holiday humiliation. I confronted her over the phone that evening. Voice laced with frost. Mom. Explain the credit line in my name. She didn't flinch. We were tight. Lena. You always help out. No sorry. Just deflection. It's family. I pressed. You stole my identity. Her tone sharpened. Don't exaggerate. We needed it. Click. Vince was next. Chill. Sis. Mom had no choice. His dismissal ignited the rage I'd bottled. Sitting on my threadbare couch. The report glaring from my laptop. I felt the fracture widen. This wasn't oversight, it was calculated theft. The guilt I'd carried for not giving enough. For questioning, evaporated. Replaced by a hollow ache. Sophia met me at the restaurant after hours. The dim lights casting long shadows as I spelled it all. That's fraud. Lena, she said. Her jaw set. Call the cops. End this cycle. Reporting Mom? It felt like ripping out roots. But the alternative, endless exploitation, was suffocating. Rosie would have urged strength. Don't let them dim your light. The voicemails kept coming, Mom's please turning manipulative. Dad's anger escalating. Vince's accusations flying. I ignored them. The silence my shield. But inside, the trauma twisted. Was I the monster for fighting back? The decision loomed. Heavy as the New Hampshire winter, report or relent. I knew relenting meant losing myself entirely. New Year's Eve at Bella Vita was chaos incarnate, tables crammed with revelers in sequins and ties. Champagne corks popping like gunfire under the crystal chandeliers. I was in my element. Orchestrating the frenzy. Ensuring every plate of Osso Buco landed hot and every complaint dissolved with a comped dessert. Then the door burst open, Dad and Vince. Faces thunderous. Storming in like they own the place. My gut plummeted. Lena. You think you can starve us out? Dad roared. His voice cutting through the jazz playlist. Vince sneered, locking our money? Real low. Sis. Diners gawked. Silverware clattering to a halt. A nearby couple whispered. Grabbing coats and bolting. My boss, Marco, emerged from the kitchen. Eyes narrowed. Lena. Deal with this. Now. Humiliation burned as I herded them to the foyer. Whispers trailing us. This is my work, I hissed. Dad jabbed a finger. UOS. Girl. For everything. Vince crossed his arms. Too good for family now? Another table cleared out. Muttering about the drama. I shoved them out. Heart hammering. But the damage lingered, empty seats. tense staff. Marco cornered me later. That spectacle? Unprofessional. You're on thin ice. Years of climbing from busser to head waitress, earning his grudging respect, teetered because of them. Sophia found me slumped at the bar post-closing. They invaded your sanctuary. Lena, don't let them win. Her words steeled me. That night, I canceled the lodge booking, full refund. $2,000 back in my pocket. I texted the group, freed up the resort for a real family. Petty? Maybe. But their betrayal demanded reciprocity. Sophia and I lingered in the empty dining room, sharing a pilfered bottle of Chianti. You're rebuilding, Lena, she said. From the ashes. The resolve hardened. Their sabotage wouldn't break me. But the cost? My job stability. My fragile sense of security. Revenge tasted bitter, laced with loss. Mid-January's chill mirrored the frost in my veins as I refreshed my credit report. The New Year's fiasco still echoed, Marco's watchful eye. The restaurant's buzz dimmed by my probation. Then it appeared, a fresh $3,500 auto loan in my name. Dated days after Christmas. Co-signed by Mom and Vince with my forged signature. The funds? A down payment on a sleek SUV they'd paraded on social media. Double betrayal, post-lockout. They'd escalated. Fury propelled me to the Concord PD station. Evidence folder in hand, statements, signatures, restaurant footage. The detective, a no-frills guy with a coffee stain on his tie, nodded gravely, identity theft. We'll investigate. Filing felt liberating yet lacerating, turning in blood for justice. Next, I called my old college buddy, Alex Thorne, a sharp attorney in Manchester. Over diner coffee, I unloaded thefts, harassment, years of drain. Solid case, he said. Drafting papers. We'll push for a no-contact order. Uncle Tony called that night. Voice pleading, Lena, you're fracturing us. They're hurting. I snapped, hurting? They stole thousands. He sighed, family forgives. No, not this. Rosie's mantra echoed, respect or nothing. Alex filed swiftly, the order looming like a guillotine. Sophia bolstered me. This is self-preservation. But Uncle's words tugged at old scars, loyalty's chains. I'd believed fixing them proved my love. Now, I saw the illusion. They'd never reciprocated. The police probe advanced. Loan flagged fraudulent. I braced for backlash. The silence before the storm. Choosing me meant mourning the family myth. A psychological scar that throbbed with every step forward. Late January. The courthouse loomed like Judgment Day. Flanked by Rosie, her frail hand steadying mine. And Sophia, her presence a fortress. Alex presented the arsenal, forgeries, loans, footage. I testified. Voice unwavering, they've stolen my trust. My peace. I need protection. The judge, a hawk-eyed veteran, granted it 500-yard buffer. 1 year against Vince and Dad. Relief washed over me, mingled with grief. Rosie whispered, proud of you. Mia cara. Sophia smiled, freedom. Vince hit social media hard, a vitriolic post decrying me as heartless, garnering sympathy and scorn. Comments stung, cruel sister. But others probed, what did they do? His outburst boomeranged, exposing cracks. Early February. Mom called. Tears streaming. Dad's unemployed. Lena. Debt's drowning us. Where blood help. Guilt surged. But I cut through. You cross lines I can't uncross. Click. Her manipulation failed. I'd outgrown it. I relocated to a sunlit studio overlooking the Merrimack. A sanctuary. Rosie visited Sundays with her lasagna, regaling me with tales of her immigrant grit. You're fierce, she'd say. Sophia and I plotted a pop-up eatery, our dream. Untethered. At Bella Vita, I excelled under scrutiny, proving resilience. The truth crystallized, families chosen, not imposed. Their consequences: job loss, shame, isolation, were self-inflicted. Boundaries weren't vengeance, they were salvation. The silence I'd endured birthed strength. But at a cost, the ache of what could have been. Yet, in that void, I found wholeness.